I started to sit down and try to imagine my life as a civilian. And for me, that moment, I don't know how you could call it, but I find it always difficult in Hebrew to describe it, so for sure in English, but maybe you can call it an enlightenment moment. For me, this moment of trying to think as a civilian, stop thinking as a professional combat soldier. It's like, I don't know, you wake up every morning in front of the mirror, you brush your hair, you brush your teeth, you see your face, you smile to yourself. That morning you wake up, you stand in front of the mirror, and suddenly you see horns on your head. You realize that you're a monster. You realize, that in the past 2 years and 10 months, it was the helmet, gun, and uniform acting something else, that it's not Yuda. But when you think of it 1 second, you realize that it is Yuda. It's not the uniform that we're acting without a person. It's you, and you can't take it away. You start to realize that something mad went on. And for me, when I realized that, I felt that I can't continue my life without doing something with it. And the best way to do it is to bring people to the field, to let them to feel, to touch, to smell, to see. And to confront the society with the moral price of the occupation.
When you love somebody very, very much, and you love something very much, by nature, you stare at that person, you stare at that thing, you can't keep your eyes off of that person or place or thing. And God created the whole world, but his headquarters is Eretz Yisrael.
There are many Jewish communities, and not only Jewish communities, which understand the importance of Hebron to the Jewish people, the significance of Hebron, the significance of Jews living here, and people are able to express that support in different ways. Some people come to visit, some people send letters, some people wish to donate some of their money, and I think that proves without any doubt that people understand the importance of a Jewish community here in Hebron.
Our next stop, we'll go to a museum and learn about 1929. Welcome everyone to Beit Hadassah. In 1929, my friends, the Jewish community here lives in a disillusion that they actually have peaceful coexistence with their Arab neighbors. And they feel that here they're safe, here nothing bad will happen to them, here the Arabs would never dare attack or make problems. Here you can see a little bit the people that were killed and murdered, 67, and remember, in 1929 there was no West Bank. There were no settlers, there were no settlements, there were no legal outposts. And look what they did to us back then. This is just a little flavor of, God forbid, what they want to do to us today.
During that year in August of 1929, there were riots throughout Israel. Those riots climaxed in Hebron itself, here, where 67 Jews were murdered and another 70 were wounded. And the people who survived were expelled. They were thrown out by the British who were then ruling here. And as a result of that, basically, the Jewish community came to an abrupt end. So something that I try to stress, which people have a difficult time accepting, but what can you do? It's the truth. When we came to Hebron in 1967, we didn't occupy a foreign city. We came back home. We came back to the first Jewish city in the land of Israel.
I want you to look at the faces of those Jews who were killed, sanctifying God's oneness. Shmuel Levi Rosenholz, the master of the yeshiva.
The narrative of the settlers and their claim starts from, we are a continuation to the Jewish community who lived there, was deported from here by the massacre. And that's not the truth. Of course, there are some people who come from families who live there that agree with the settlements. But there are a lot of people who come from the Jewish community of Hebron who are against, fundamentally against the settlement of Hebron, fundamentally against the idea that 650 people can, have all their rights in the back of 150,000 people.
לכן יש משהו מרגש בהתרסקות בשנה הזו, בשנת ע"ז, בשנת עוז, לזכר קדושי תרפ"ט, הצטרפות של מה שאמרו רבותינו אין עוז אל התורה, זה כולל גם כן את הפשט שאין עוז אל התורה, והעוז הפנימי הוא נקודה מיוחדת שהייתה כאן בחברון.
Usually in Jewish holidays or weekends, a lot of people come, a lot of settlers from Kiryat Arba, a lot of people, visitors from Jerusalem, from outside. And one of the biggest fears of the IDF was that some of a Palestinian sniper will sit down here, I don't know, one of the houses in Abu Snena, and will just slaughter everyone, all the prayers will walk here in the streets. So how you deal with it? For sure, weekends or in holidays, you post curfew on the Palestinians. Friday morning, you divide all the Palestinian neighborhoods around the settlement. You go, you search all the houses, you finish one round, take a rest in one of the houses, you lock the family in one room, you put observers on, you go to sleep. After 3 hours you wake up, it's time for the second round. And again, that's another aspect of what it was to live here.
Is everything wrong here?
When they come to check the house, they ask me to collect all of the family, put them in the kitchen or in one room. They take off all of the clothes, the bags, the beds, all of that, and spend many time. They come to the house, they said all of the family outside, but I said, it's raining outside. He said, I don't care. I remember one night, we stay from 1 o'clock after midnight until 4 o'clock, and it was raining over our head. And they said they want to check the house, and they know nothing of the house. And they had never found anything in the house, because we have nothing.
In 1968, and after the Six-Day War, and the great military victory that God gave to us, the Israeli government already back then wasn't sure of what are we going to do with the areas we've liberated in 67. Let Jews stay, let Jews move there, don't let Jews move there. And at that time, Moshe Levinger and his Rebbetzin Miriam Levinger get together, they advertise in the Israeli newspapers, come spend Pesach downtown Hebron, Park Hotel, and no sauna, and no Olympic-sized swimming pool, and no great musical entertainers, Chalamite, but yet a one-star hotel, windows provided if you pay extra money, 30 families registered for the Passover service.
They were there in this hotel. Then the government decided to take them out of there and to put them into the military government building, which was an old British police fortress. And then they multiplied, and the military government could not function anymore. They just turned the military government building into a private settlement. So the government decided, let them take out of Hebron, let's put them into a new settlement called Kiryat Arba.
In 1970, Golda Meir came along, says, I got the solution, and that solution is called Kiryat Arba. And she built this beautiful, beautiful suburb with low-interest mortgages, cheap housing, Olympic-sized swimming pool, really, sauna, jacuzzi, tennis courts.
This became a big fascist-dominated settlement, the center of all fascist elements in Israel. And then they started from Kiryat Arba to infiltrate again back into Hebron. So slowly, little step after little step after little step after little step, they occupied this part of Hebron, where, as you know, even in this part, the settlers are a small minority, and they terrorize the Arab majority into this quarter of Hebron.
هذا كل يمر فيه، هذا أحلى شارع كان في الخليل، أحلى شارع، شارعنا أحلى شارع، الفلاح يفوت، القروي، المدني، السائح للحرم ينزل، الكل ينزل عليه. بس لا ولا حاجة، ما أنت شايف، لحموا علي الأبواب، لحموا علينا الأبواب كلها سكروها. من وقت الانتفاضة سكروا عنا الباب الرئيسي بنطلع منه من تحت، باقي فاتحين يعني شوي هيك نروح ونجي على الخفيف بالسرقة من المستوطنين. أما هاقيت لهم يجي 4 سنين مسكينه من مرة علينا. هاقيت إحنا بننزل عند بيت الجيران من عن سطوح الجيران قاعدين بننزل وبنتحمل مشقة وتعب وعن سلالم وعن حيطان مشان ما نتركش بيتنا لليهود وللمستوطنين ياخذوا. هاي مستوطنين، هاي مستوطنين. هون المستوطن، هون مستوطن، في الدبوية مستوطن، تل رميدة مستوطن، عند الحسبة مستوطنين، يعني دور ما دورنا مستوطنين وجيش. لحموه كله الدكان والباب البيت، ما خلوش ولا شيء يعني في الشارع هذا اللي لحموه. احسن لنا نطلع يعني بدهم المستوطن يمشي براحته المستوطن، اما احنا سكروا علينا الابواب ما نعرفش نعدي من باب دارنا. وهي اغلبيه الناس طلعوا من هون في الشغل، احنا ضرب مجانا ما بيعرف يعني انو ساكن في هالمحيط. واحنا ممكن عادي اذا بده يضل هيك حياتنا نهجر هالدار.
I have no doubt that if today another 200,000 Jews moved into Judea and Samaria, a lot of the Arabs who were here would pick up and leave. We don't have to throw them out. I don't know that I don't know that today I favor that. I'm not looking for forced expulsions of everybody, but I have a feeling that if they see masses of people coming over, not to take their homes away from them, just to settle in the land here, that a lot of them will just leave.
You know, any normal human being have a specific set that once about beyond this point I cannot take it anymore. My children cannot take it anymore, so I'm gonna have to leave. So this is my fear. My fear is that the migration of the Palestinian population is going to continue, and that the Israelis, the Jewish settlers there, are going to attain their goal to transform the old city into a Jewish enclave or a Jewish ghetto, that no Palestinians are allowed to go through it or live in it.
Basically, it is a fight about land. As I wrote it 2 weeks ago, a fight about real estate. And the territory is the main core. I am not among those who think that this dispute in the Middle East is a religious one. It is a nationalistic one, and the main dispute is about land. Look even at the transfer. There was a real transfer in Hebron. Nobody talks about it. There are something about 15, 20, 25,000 people who had to leave their homes. It is just because those crazy people tyrannized their neighbors until they had to leave.
Now, the Shuhada Street that we're just walking on used to be the main part of the Hebron market. Try to imagine in your head an oriental market of a city of 150,000 people. Since '94, it's closed down. In the beginning of the Second Intifada, the Shuhada Street was announced as a sterilized street, meaning Palestinians were prevented even to walk here, not only drive, not only open the shops, even to walk.
The Palestinians have many Arab states with huge territories. If they want a Palestinian Muslim government, they can have that in Saudi Arabia, in Syria, in Iraq, in Iran, in Morocco, all of those places where the Arabs live, in Egypt, in Jordan. We believe in the divine promise to this country, to the Jewish people who would like to live as guests here. They're invited, but to think that they can run the country, that's not possible.
There's enough states to the Arabs. There is not Palestinian nation. There is not. There was not a nation before we came here, and they are not today. They came from many lands and states. They were Bedouin. Okay, that's what they was. There was not Arabs here before we came here. There was only some hundreds. Okay, 100 or 100,000. This is not what we are talking today. And we have to look at the eyes and everyone in the world and say, that's not their land.
The settlers in Hebron and people like them have a clear-cut solution for the conflict, that is ethnic cleansing, pure and simple. All the Arabs, all the Palestinians have to leave Palestine. If you want, on the book of Joshua in the Bible, God commanded Joshua to kill every non-Israeli in the country, and after 3,000 years or so, they stick to it.
At dawn, in the cave of the patriarch, sacred to both Arabs and Jews, Baruch Goldstein opened fire with an automatic rifle.
Entered the mosque in an army uniform and opened fire.
A settler opened fire in a crowded mosque in the West Bank town of Hebron. At least 40 Palestinians were killed, scores more wounded.
Minutes earlier, these people had been praying, celebrating the Arab fast of Ramadan. They were mercilessly gunned down by an Israeli settler.
It is one of the most militant settlements on the West Bank, and he was among its most militant members.
I must remind you that Goldstein not only killed so many Palestinians, he is directly responsible to all this wave of suicide bombers who started only after his massacre. Would I be a Palestinian? I can tell you, when you see Hebron and you see what's happening to them, you can only come to one conclusion, that the Palestinians are one of the most tolerant people in the world. Even I would say one of the less violent people in the world. Because any people would explode if people would have done what they are doing there.
My name is Asmi Dandis. I am the owner of this house. I am with my family, and we used to live it since 50 years.
So it was occupied by...
It's now occupied by 20 people. Up there, they are staying there.
But I need that you know.
We've heard that they have taken another house. Which house?
This house, my neighbor.
Who? What's his name?
His name Sha'rawi. He's my neighbor. Was living inside his house, and when he go outside to his land outside the cities to stay a few weeks as in summer usually, they come in. And when we talked to the army, he said, okay. Then he closed this door to us and opened that door for the settler. This is what did by the military governor of the army.
Well, if they are still going to be thinking that they are God-chosen people, well, we do not believe that God is a real estate agent saying, okay, this land is for you guys and this guy is for you. For me specifically, if there's going to be a God, one of his most important merits is that he's going to be just, that he's going to be fair. He's not going to be saying, okay, these are my people and the rest of the people is trash. This is something that it's not just us as Palestinians. No other people will accept that. That treat us as less than human. And not only that, you're going to take our land and deprive us of all of our rights. Nobody can accept that.
We're going now to visit one of our friends, El-Azar family, Hashim El-Azar, who lives in Tel Rumeida. For sure, the main and the right way to go to Tel Rumeida would be probably up the hill in the junction, take a left, but there are settlement and the Palestinians can't walk there in front of the settlement. Their only way in and out the house is through the way that we'll go down.
You see, this is the path of Kurtuba school, as you see from here. And you see the girls here, they are waiting the children until they come from here. And as they said, as you see, اذبح العرب, kill all of the Arabs. They said in Arabic, اذبح العرب, kill all of the Arabs. This is what they said. And this is Israel. Israel, there is no Palestine. This is the land of Israel.
الطفل المستوطن اليهودي من أولى خطواته بيتعلم كيف هو بيكره العرب، بيرضعوه كراهية العرب لدرجة إنه أول كلمة بينطقها إنه بيسب على كل واحد عربي، علما بأنه اعتدائهم واضح. حتى إحنا بنصور الاعتداءات اللي بتصير، بنصور بالفيديو وبنقدم لهم الشريط إنه هم اللي جايين معتدين، وكمان بيكون إحنا بيبقوا جايين على بيتنا وبيكون الحق علينا كمان، وإحنا بنتغرم وإحنا اللي بنعتق.